And we're right back here live in the studios, Viewpoint. We have with us this morning an outstanding, one of our community members who just does a lot of great things in volunteering. And she found that she had some time somewhere, I don't know how, to kind of head up the animal shelter that we have here. And I think perhaps somebody might have their head in the sand, not know exactly where that is, Ellen. Tell us where you're located, physically located.
Physically located, our brand new shelter is 1801 East Lincoln Parkway, and nobody knows what East Lincoln Parkway is.
Right, define that.
And I'll tell you, it's on Old Route 66, right before you come to the viaduct, the train crossover there. Mm-hmm. It's next to the Burwell office on Old Route 66, just down from Eaton. So we're easy to find. You just have to know when people say, and you can't put it in your GPS because it doesn't show up. So,
oh dear.
So it's a brand new address.
And speaking of easy to find, to show the impact of your website, you told us on the way up of a couple who live away from here, a long way away from here, who found. So let's go ahead with that story.
We had a dog that was brought in to us that was a red and white shepherd.
Tell us what the name was to say that.
Red dog. Red dog, and it was a she, not a he, which was very confusing to me. But anyway, she had
to
been.
The dog too.
She had not had a very good life, and she was very scared and very just a coward continually. And we worked with her for a couple of months, and she became just a wonderful animal. And we had a call from Kansas City, Missouri. They had seen her and wanted to come see her and adopt her.
On your website, they saw this.
On Pet Finder, yes.
Yeah, Pet Finder.
Pet Finder. And they drove all the way up here from They sent in the application, and we did all the application by mail, and they drove here from Kansas City last week and adopted her, and we've just gotten wonderful emails from them about how happy they were with her because she looked like a dog that they had lost. So we reach far and wide. And we have lots of different opportunities for people to adopt our pets.
Now, Pet Finder is one of the sites on the web, and I presume it's petfinder.com.
It is petfinder.com,
Interesting.
And it's just for animal shelters like us, and also animal control. Breeders can't advertise on there, so
it's a public service.
It's a public service thing, and. You can find animals, if you look whatever kind of animal you're looking for, you can go on there and put in your zip code, and they'll bring up every available animal within that zip code. So
I endorse that except for exotic animals.
Right.
You know, it just boggles my mind how people will take exotic animals and think they make pets.
Well, they don't. They don't return anything. So, I mean, but everybody has their own thing. We only take dogs and cats, so we're limited to dogs and cats at the Humane Society.
Well, that's appropriate.
Yes.
You know, now, speaking of your need for cash, CAHS, you have some ongoing fundraisers, and some of them are coming up here rather quickly. Let's talk about the number one. You have you had a bake sale in conjunction with the Rotary, a disposition of their grapefruit and oranges last Saturday. Right.
We have an annual cookie tray sale where people can order cookie trays, can order a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen, and it's one of our large fundraisers. This year we made about $3,900, and we probably have 40 people or more that have baked for us. And
again, a big kudo to those folks who take that time to do that.
And yes, and the expense. I mean, that's a huge expense. So, those are all the people that work behind the scenes that don't ever get their names out, or
or don't want them out.
They don't want them out. They just want to do for us. So that's a great thing. And we're in the middle right now of our annual Tree of Hope campaign, which is also doing very well this year. Last year we made over $4,000. And we have a tree at Ace Hardware, outside at Ace, and you can memorialize or honor either your pets or your loved ones, and we post all their names at ACE, and they're also posted at the shelter, and they're on the website, and it's just become a really great annual fundraiser for us, and people look forward to having their pets memorialized. So it's a very good thing, and if you don't have any kind of form, you can pick it up at ACE or at the shelter, or call 737-4042 and we'll send you one. And in January, we have a pancake breakfast at the Friendship Manor. And in February, we have a chili supper at Friendship also.
And these will be advertised, of course.
Yes.
But you mark your dates here next January 14th for that pancake breakfast. And then February the 11th, we're going to have that
the
chili soup.
Yeah, we'll have chili and chicken vegetable soup also. So.
Well, you're not only helping there, but you're also taking the little lady out of the house for one meal.
That's right, and the price is right too. So that's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is,
so.
Well, I dare say you certainly make it convenient for anyone who is willing to help you or make donations or get cat and dog food for you. That is an expensive proposition. I know Murphy's kind of a picky eater, and a bag of dog food's not a cheap proposition.
No.
I'm lucky he's a light eater.
No, and then we do, we have vet care because we do neuter all our animals. They get if they don't have any of their inoculations, we make sure that they have their rabies and everything that they need to keep them healthy, everything that we can do to keep them healthy before somebody would adopt them.
I wanted to mention that. Now, you have some transportation to take these animals to spay and neutering clinics.
Right, we do. APL sends a truck up here every month.
And APL is
the Animal Protective League of Springfield, and they do primarily they're doing a service to people who can't spay and neuter, who have their fees are less than what you would normally pay, but they do for the shelters. They also give us a good rate on that because we have so many that we send.
And I'm sure that they perform this operation very humanely.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
You would have checked that out.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, it's a matter of there's a physical matter a logistical matter of transporting these. So tell us how that's done. And it's done in Springfield, I presume.
Yes, it is. And they have a truck, and they send the truck to Lincoln once a month. And in the summertime, we meet the truck in the Steak and Shake parking lot, and in the wintertime, Jim Horn has allowed us to use his garage at J&S Auto because it's so cold.
Appreciated.
Yes, and very much so. And you bring your animals, and they have to be in a crate. And if you don't have a crate, then we will help you get a crate. But they have to be in a crate, and they are transported to APL on Monday and brought back to Lincoln on Tuesday. And very, very efficient operation, and it takes. On our part, it takes a lot of volunteer hours because there's a lot of paperwork that has to be filled out and a lot of phone calls that have to be made. And but we can do anywhere between 40 and 50 animals a month that way.
Oh, really?
Yes. So it's very that's also very good for us and very good for the community.
So the upside of this, the uptick on this matter of adopting from your facility is that anybody who's lucky enough to adopt an animal out there, they're getting an animal who's run the mill, so to speak.
Correct.
And is ready to go.
Yes.
Totally.
Yes.
Neutered and microchipped.
Yes, microchipped, yes.
There was a time when I thought that any time we would get a dog at our house, I would want to get a puppy. However, now that I'm not 29 anymore, I think, I've got a perfectly good dog for nothing, actually. But at any rate, I've got him, and we're going to have him for a long time. But if I get another dog, I think I'd want to get a dog instead of a puppy.
Right, and we have senior animals, and we do offer a special adoption rate for senior animals because they are difficult. People don't want an animal that's 7 years old. But right now we have two that are just wonderful animals, and they're housebroken, they're loving. They can go right into your home, and they've been most of them have been used to a home. We have it's a very sad story. We have 2 dogs, 2 spaniels, they're sisters, and they had lived with an elderly lady for the past 7 years, and she had to go into a nursing home. And we're looking for a home for them together because hopefully they have never been separated. So, and they'd be a great companion for anybody, but it's the idea that sometimes a senior dog is great for a senior also, because they're good companions, and there's no work to them other than walking them and feeding them. You don't have to train them and do all that. So we run the gamut, and you're right, a full-grown dog, and our dogs are housebroken, so we work at that very hard. So, and
we need to emphasize that they still need care when they leave your facilities.
Oh my, yes.
We just can't take them home and say, here you are, honey. They still need walking, they still need fed, they still need watering on a regular basis. So
and beautification day.
Beautification day, that's right. So the potential adoptive families have to understand, and obviously do for the most part, that they'll have some attendant responsibilities once they take that animal out your door.
Right, and we have one of our board members, Wanda Stevens, is our adoption counselor, and she works real hard with the families that are getting ready to adopt to help educate them if they've never had an animal, or if they do have animals now, as to what it really is expected. And I think it's really appreciated, because a lot of people don't really realize how much work. Everybody thinks cats are easy. Well, yeah, cats may be easy, but sometimes, they need maintenance just like dogs do. So I think we do a real good job of educating our adopters, and I'm very proud of that.
Judith, I'm sitting here thinking, our boys are adopted. Greg and Jeff are both adopted as infants, 10 days and 3 weeks old. And we had a social worker. I thought I'd taken him to raise. He spent so much time with us. I think by the time he completed investigations of Gene and I, that both of us were qualified to work for the CIA. I'm being facetious about that, but they were very, very serious in fulfilling an obligation and responsibility. And it sounds to me somewhat that Wanda might be doing a little investigating on
she does. Yes, she does. We do vet checks. We do vet our adopters. And we do call their vet to see if their animals are up to date, and that, which indicates they're taking care of their animals also. So I think that's real important.
When my youngest was in school, I swear it was every week something followed her home, quote unquote. Sometimes it was a kitten or a puppy or a baby bird or a baby bunny. I mean, it was just the whole gamut. And I was trying to find a home for this darling little kitten, and these people came to look at it, and they thought it was so nice, and they really would like to have it. And they just had a kitten, and they'd moved their refrigerator and set it on the kitten, and that was the end of the kitten, of course. And I said, oh, well, actually, somebody else looked at this kitten, and I think they're coming back, which was a lie. But I thought, maybe they don't take very good care of their pets.
Might not been good to set the refrigerator on the cat. I would agree with that.
There are people, we talked again coming up on the road this morning. We talked again about people who have dogs or pets, period. But in particular, you'll go by a house and you'll see a dog chained to a dog house, and there's just an arc where that chain will, as far as the chain will allow the dog to go back and forth. No grass, just pounded down, and there is a dog house the dog can go into. But you just have to think, why in the world would people keep an animal like that? They're not getting any, well, I guess by their standards they're getting some enjoyment out of it. It boggles the mind why people will take a pet and just obviously ignore it.
I can't answer that. I do know that people think, from our experience with our investigators, people think animals are being abused, and once you start investigating, you realize that they're not. So, you have to really know the situation and what's going on. And the law is, as long as the animal has food, water, and shelter, then they're not being abused. Yeah. So, that's... how
do you define the word, I guess?
Right. How do you define it? But, animals need the love and care that humans need, and I would agree with that, Bill, tremendously. And people need to be responsible for their animals, and there are people who aren't responsible, and it's difficult.
Is there anyone? Excuse me, Judith. You were going to say something.
I was just going to say, when my kids were little, they wanted a dog, and I kept telling them that we had a baby that ate garbage and wet on the floor. We didn't need a dog. So then, as the baby turned into a person, then we got a dog, and everything was fine. But how do you feel about people adopting a puppy for a baby, like, say, a puppy for a 2-year-old?
You know, I really can't comment on that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why they would do that, but
when you've got a baby that eats garbage and wets on the floor.
That wets and eats garbage, yes,
Yeah.
You know.
2-year-olds do yank on tails and ears and stuff.
Yeah, they're
Right.
kind of hard on things.
You know, and I think a lot of young couples have pets before they have children, and they seem to adapt pretty well. So it's a matter of if you treat the animal the way you treat your child, then you're okay. I think that's probably true. So
Pretty good definition.
yeah. And I don't think a 2-year-old can appreciate a dog, but maybe the dog will take care of that child as it gets older. So, you know, I think I really don't know, Judy.
I just always was afraid that they'd ruin it, ruin the puppy if we had one.
I don't have any research
Somehow
on that.
they survive. I don't know how, but
They do. Yes,
Is there
they
any
do.
one incident that sticks out since you have opened up the relatively short time that you've opened up the shelter? Have you had any particular incident that sticks out in your mind?
Oh, I think the adoption of Red Dog is that dog is just it was the most wonderful dog.
Coming all the way from Kansas City.
Kansas
to find
City,
that dog.
and then we had another lady who had lost her cat, and she came in and adopted 2 cats, and I see her every Sunday. She goes to my church, and you would think that we had given her $1 million. So that makes me very happy also. So I think every story is great, and that's one thing that Wanda does do, our adoption counselor. She follows up with these people, and sends us stories about what's going on with the animals and how they're getting along. And we had a young mother from Springfield she's in the National Guard, and she brought her son up. We had puppies. We had Chihuahua puppies, mixed Chihuahua puppies, and they adopted. And that little boy, when he walked out of there with that puppy, was great too. So every story is great. It's just it's just heartwarming, because most people who come to the shelter really want a pet, and so that's a good thing.
Ellen, this program will be on the World Wide Web sometime this afternoon. You might have somebody out there who might have come from Lincoln, or maybe just be motivated to help out. How would they send a check to, and how would they make that check out to your Humane Society?
Oh, that's easy. It's HSLC, P.O. Box 404, Lincoln, Illinois, 62656.
And if they didn't get that, they can run it again so that they can write it down.
They can.
That's a nice part of the WWW here. Yeah. Well, we've appreciated very much. Number one, we appreciate your efforts and those of all of your volunteers out there. I think that rates a huge kudo, Judith Kay. If there will be some people who might be motivated to want to help, they know how to find you now, and if nothing else, they can call Jim Ashley. He'll tell you where to get up there.
He will, won't he?
Yeah, that's right.
I just want to thank you all for this opportunity to come and talk about all the work that we do. It's really important to me, and it's important to all of those who volunteer. So we thank you very much for that opportunity.
Well,
and a Merry Christmas to everybody.
Yes, we want to join
Bless
everybody.
your heart, and Merry Christmas.
We have one more week in which we can say Merry Christmas, and we'll hold that off until next Wednesday, right?
Well, and we'll say it.
Yeah, we'll say it then, yeah.
Right
We
on.
always try to close Viewpoint with some quote that's pertinent to the subject matter. I found this one. The reason a dog has so many friends, he wags his tail instead of his tongue. Thank you
Good
for
one.
Viewpoint.
Yeah.